This is an Unnext News special report with Margie K.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Margie K, and this is an Unnext News special report. This evening, we're going to be talking about some exciting new information, so please stay tuned. My guest is Ron James. Ron, of course, is a filmmaker, on-camera personality, writer, editor, researcher, content creator, and entrepreneur. He's also the director of media relations for MUFON. James is the co-founder of MUFON Television, an online TV channel boasting the world's largest collection of commercial-free UAP-related material. Welcome to the program, Ron.
Thanks for having me on, Margie.
Well, I'm so glad you could join me again here on Unnext, but this time with a special report about some unusual, unique information that you're going to reveal at the symposium. So can you give us a little teaser about what that might be?
Yeah, so this year at the MUFON Symposium, which is in Irving, Texas, near Dallas-Fort Worth, we are revealing, among many other things, 4 very strange cases involving UAP. The first one is some unknown materials from Russia that we've been through the ringer trying to solve. The second one is a case about some new information coming from Roswell, compliments of Toby from the Roswell Daily Record and my friends that I'm working with at another station. And the third one is some very strange organic things that we can't figure out what they are. The guy who wrote the book about panspermia was one of the first people to investigate these objects, and he thinks that they're an example of meteoroids. And then finally, we have a case of a man from Oregon who says that his father flew for a secret squadron of F-94 jets that were tasked with escorting UFOs out of populated areas. And at one time, they had to shoot one down. And so these are 4 cases that we're going to be revealing to the world in detail for the first time. And that's just one of the cool things we're doing at the MUFON Symposium this year. We've got Bob Salas as our keynote, and we are discussing in depth through the whole weekend the search for transparency in the UAP phenomenon. So the live stream's out there. You can get tickets to attend in person, or you can get the live stream for $99. You get the year of MUFON Television and a whole year to watch the symposium. It is going to be the biggest live presentation this year in ufology, and everybody should be there.
And of course, if you can't go, you can watch it live virtually. So that's great.
Yeah. And if you get the live stream and you can't watch it exactly when it happens, you have a whole year. Plus you get access to MUFON Television for a whole year, and you can and enjoy any of our 600 or 700 commercial-free curated UFO related media. So it's a fantastic thing. It's going to be the virtual party of the year for anybody who's interested in the UAP topic. And even though, like one of these cases that we're putting on, a couple of the images have already been debunked, and we're happy about that because we've got 70 images we have to investigate. And so we're going to share the results of this. The investigation isn't over, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So we invite people to join us and take this meandering path of trying to get to the bottom of it with us. And that's going to be the 11th through the 14th. The live event is the 13th, and it's going to be a blast.
Okay. Now, I understand that some of this material was actually investigated by our own MUFON Lab in St. Louis. How long did that process take?
Well, once she got the material, she was able to put it through MUFON. Our lab is a level 1 lab, so we're not like super sophisticated, but we're able to put it through our basic tests. And the initial materials analysis, that she couldn't identify what it was. That's a little picture of it. The Russian lab found that some of this material was metal, about 10%. And it was metal that they could identify, but it was composed of an alloy that could not be identified. And again, the remaining 90% has not been identified yet. So the history of where this came from is pretty interesting. And the results that we're getting, pretty interesting. And the story of the cloak and dagger things that have happened surrounding these specimens, that's a pretty interesting story too.
It seems that that is always the case when somebody gets their hands on something that is off-world, especially, for instance, the Bob White object. I know Larry C. Kander, and yeah, he's had all kinds of strange things happen and disappearing things too.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Here, labs lose things and say, "Oh, we don't know where it is."
Well, I'm convinced that there's crash retrieval teams that do this stuff. And frankly, people, when they question that, just ask yourself, if you're the military, the biggest military in the world, certainly you have crash retrieval teams, even if it's just going after crashed foreign jets or whatever. And if you have them, then they're going to be dispatched to go after unidentified things as well. And once you are engaged in a cover-up of this, you've got your ear to the tracks. And anytime some kind of material pops up that might be questionable, you probably have a team that's going to go out and make sure it gets taken out of the public. And they attempted to do that with the stuff we have now, but we actually had more.
Yeah, well, that's great. That's great news. This is something like this is always exciting for ufologists and people who are just interested in the subject. What about, tell us a little bit about MUFON television. What is that about?
So MUFON television is basically, it's built on an archive of the MUFON Symposiums going all the way back to, I think, 2011. But it also has a lot of other content that we create specifically for the channel. I do a show called Space Time that I crank out once in a while. We do special reports and special things that you can only find on MUFON TV. And it's included if you buy an enhanced membership of MUFON, you get it automatically, or you can subscribe to it just on its own, or you get it free when you buy the live stream of our symposium. And we do that every year. So MUFON TV is just a fun other place to go. The content's curated. There's no ads. There's no tracking. It's a very basic website where we just present the material. And if you just want to avoid having to sift through all the stuff on YouTube, and if you want to avoid, dealing with a lot with commercials, there's not a single ad on this channel. So that's what it's about.
That's good. I don't think you ever have a lack of material because there are so many reports coming in from obviously witnesses, and then the field investigators are doing their work. It seems to be, I know in Missouri, we are super busy all the time with cases. And it seems that as of late, they seem to be what we call good cases, which means there's a lot of evidence. There's maybe a close encounter, multiple witnesses. Are you finding that to be the case across the board?
I think what's happening is there's an acceleration, and we're reaching a point where disclosure, we've been after the government for disclosure for so long, and certainly they are the holders of some of these secrets. But I think experiencers are about to have their day, and the people that are receiving communication and receiving messages from non-human intelligence, people that have been laughed at and poo-pooed for years and years and years, there's new scientific evidence emerging that maybe there's something to these encounters. And I think that the truth about the non-human intelligences that are around us are coming out more and more through individuals, their experiences, and even more lately, sometimes they're being given like these materials that this one guy in Russia got. These samples are something that they can take to the lab and say, okay, this is unexplained and this is where I got it. So yeah, we're getting increased cases, we're getting increased provability, and we're getting, I believe, more of a step toward disclosure that's going to happen through individuals and their experiences that we can prove. And so it's a really exciting time because the government, they're never going to tell us everything they know.
No, that's obvious to everyone. We had our hopes up for a little bit, thinking that they would come clean, but no, that's not going to happen.
It's one step forward, two steps back. MUFON's pretty plugged in Washington, and we know a lot about what's going on there. And so are some other people that I'm very close with, people from the traditional disclosure movements, guys like Danny Sheehan, and I still talk to Lou and Chris a lot. And what we're dealing with here is a behind the scenes battle for this information and for control of the information that is bubbling up into what we see play out in the media. And it is a knockdown drag out right now. Honestly, it's one of the biggest internal battles that I think government has ever gone through. And there's a lot of reasons for it, but most of them, I believe, are kind of nefarious. It's like the business, government, and industry has a lot of secrets that they don't want to give up, and for a variety of reasons. But right now, things are evolving in such a way that they're not going to have a choice.
Yeah, it seems that there are different departments in the government, as generally speaking, and they don't want to speak to each other, and they don't agree with each other. So yeah, some of them want it revealed and some don't. And then we have the leakers and this ongoing drama.
But you've got this situation where they started covering it up, and we can argue back beyond the time frame of the Roswell era, which is the few years surrounding that incident. We could say this has been going on for a long time, and certainly these encounters have been happening for all of recorded history. But what I call the modern era of the UFO cover-up started about that time, and now it has gone so far and been buried so deep and is so wrapped up in organizations that are free from the FOIA acts and do not have to be accountable to anybody. Hardly anybody knows the whole story, I think. And the ones that do know realize that we're dealing with the biggest deception in the history of humanity, and that some people, if the truth came out, would be held accountable. So it's a very, very complex thing. And then also, what's the context of all of this? If there is a non-human intelligence and it's not going to be a threat to us, that's one thing, but we're defenseless against it clearly. And so there's a whole other element to why they insist on keeping this a secret, but it's the accountability that somebody would have to take if it came out. It's the technology and the potential profit that government and industry want to protect, especially private industries. And it's the context of, well, what does it mean to us as a civilization if we're no longer at the top of the food chain? So it's very complicated, way beyond any of our pay grades, and people are working on it, but it is a knockdown, drag out fight. And will we ever get the truth coming out of Washington, D.C.? We'll get something, but it won't be the whole story ever.
No, we just have to find it ourselves. And those of us who are experiencers now feel a little bit vindicated.
You should,
because
yeah,
we do, and it's nice, and people don't look at us like we're crazy anymore. So that part is nice. Ron, I got to ask you, how did you get interested in ufology to start with?
Well, I was always kind of a person growing up as a kid that just was intrigued by life's mysteries, life after death, and ghosts and UFOs and all that kind of thing. And I actually ran into Steve Bassett in Sedona. I had just started Sedona Media Company, and I was doing all kinds of video series about metaphysical things. And he hired me because I had a production company. I still do. He hired me to go and live stream his X conference. And I was like a kid in a candy store. I mean, all these guys that I'd seen on TV all these years, suddenly I was hanging out with them. And I just continued in the field, and I've probably produced more hours of finished content around this topic when you count all the symposiums I've filmed and released. Probably more hours of finished content about UAPs, UFOs than anybody else. And it's hundreds and hundreds of hours of stuff that I've put out there. I still think it's the most important question facing humanity, or at least one of the top three. So what better way to spend your career than trying to help humanity understand some of its greatest mysteries? It's a lot better than, getting hired by Discovery Channel to carry their gear.
Well, yeah, and you've done a fantastic job so far, and can't wait for new things coming up. Do you have any plans that you want to talk about?
Sure. Well, first I'd like to let people know, if you haven't seen my movie from last year, Accidental Truth, UFO Revelations, please check it out. You can watch it for free on Tubi. You can watch it for free on YouTube Movies. You can rent it for a couple bucks on Amazon and Apple. And the reason I want people to get up to speed on this is because it's still won 28 Film Festival awards, and people say that it's one of the best UFO docs ever. But I'll give you a sneak preview. Accidental Truth Next is coming out fall. And this
Oh,
is
wow.
follow-up. It's narrated again by Matthew Modine. And I just want everybody out there to catch up on the first movie. I'm not trying to get paid off it because, like I said, it's out there for free now. Just check it out because the next one's coming. And we're going to update people on the whole David Grush saga, how that stuff came out, the progression of events in Washington, D.C., and some new cases that nobody's ever seen before. So that's coming.
Fantastic. That's wonderful. And unbeknownst to me, until just recently, found out that you are a musician. So tell us about that. How long have you been playing?
Well, it's an interesting story for me. I played music when I was a kid, and during COVID, I was like, well, I got a lot of time on my hands because my live streaming business was tanking. And so I decided to start really getting back into music. So now I have an EP that I'm working on, and the first cut from the EP is called Oh Aliens, and it has a cool music video. Travis Walton's in it. It's introduced by the narrator of Ancient Aliens, Robert Clotworthy. The guitar solo is played by Adam Schoenfeld, who is Tim McGraw's touring guitar player, a guy who's played on 40 #1 songs. And he played on my song. So it's like, this has got a really cool video. Eric Von Doniken's in it. Richard Dolan's in it. Michio Kaku's in it. Congressman Tim Burchett's in it. So the video's out. I gave you a link to the unlisted version if anybody wants to check it out. And it'll actually go live shortly. I wrote the song. I played the acoustic guitar. I do the vocals. And there's no AI or any other nonsense involved in the song. It's pure music. And people say, is that you singing? And I'm like, yeah, it is. And there's very little that was done to my voice. So it's a true piece of music. And now we're in this world where we can't tell anymore. But I hope people like it. And then I've got another one coming out. Guitarist Mickey Free won the Grammy for the music on Beverly Hills Cop. He's doing the lead on the next cut. It's called Stormfront, and we'll be releasing that sometime toward the end of the year.
Awesome. Going to have to get you out to XCon in Springfield so you can play. I just gave it away. We're doing a surprise band.
Hey, I'm happy to do it. Yeah. The thing is that the act that I'm putting together for this band, it's called Ron James Revelations. And it's me and really whoever I can cobble together at the time. It's such an expensive act to move around that I don't know if we're ever going to be out playing this stuff live, because the act has smoke and flying saucers that fly out over the audience and and lighting and full instrumented band. So I don't know.
Oh my
if the song gets popular, maybe somebody would be willing to float what it costs to get us out there, or because I don't really want to compromise the stage show that I'm trying to create.
Right. Well, I think it's also very interesting that a lot of us in ufology are musicians. I mean, every other person. Yeah.
Inside MUFON, we've got a bunch, and some of us might be doing some goof off stuff at the symposium. I haven't ruled it out yet.
All righty. Well, looking forward to that.
We'll probably get up after the Saturday night presentation. And we'll probably get up and start playing some music just to clear the room.
Oh yeah, they'll stay for that. What are you talking about?
Yeah, they'll be like, okay, out of here. It's worse than a fire alarm. No, I'm just kidding.
No. I know.
If you want to share the link to the music video, feel free. It's on one of my private channels. I didn't put it on MUFON's YouTube channel yet. So that's an unlisted private link. So whoever clicks on it will see the video before anybody else.
All right. Well, that's the link to the video. Ron, thank you so much for being on the show for this special report. I know it's short and sweet, but we got a lot of information, and certainly everybody go register for the symposium right now.
MUFONSymposium.com. If you can attend in person, do it. If you can't, grab the live stream. It's the full event, not just the Saturday night event. But it's going to be a heck of a show on Saturday night, and we want a lot of people to be there live to enjoy it with us.
And of course, we're going to see this information about the unknown material at that time, and I know that's going to be great. I will see you there. I will have a booth, an UNX Network booth there, so hopefully we'll connect. Ron, thank you so much.
Margie K, always a pleasure.
Right. Bye-bye.
Will you leave us all alone? I wouldn't think to ask. Things are coming way undone. We really off our path. There are dreamers here among us who could see another way. Time is running shorter, might run out of days. Williams, gotta help me find a way. Williams, gotta help me save the day. Williams, oh Williams, perhaps you could just reach out